the true future of wildlife and wilderness areas lies in the scientifically based, scientifically implemented programs for sustainable use. Communication now is more instantaneous than ever. And this, of course, can be a great danger if we have the wrong message going out.
I think that we need to do a better job, not just talking to our hunting buddy, but we really need to talk to those that don't hunt. Not the 15% anti-hunters, not that radical group, but it's that 70% in the middle. Right now there's a void. Right now the only noise in there is trophy hunting's bad, hunting's bad, stop, ban, etc., etc. You've seen it all, it's been on the news.
Trophy hunting creates a lot of jobs, on-the-job training opportunities and promotion opportunities. So many people who might have started off as trackers have over the years become fully registered professional hunters. Look at the facts, look at scientific research, and then make up your mind.
Ask your questions, become better informed, and then go out to those who don't share your opinions and spread the word. Become informed about the role of hunter conservationism.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Corey Mason.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to DSC's 40th anniversary convention. The theme for this evening's event is education, one of the 3 tenets of our DSC mission. In the past, the majority of our education focus was rather narrow, primarily targeting youth. Clearly, the education of our younger generation on the role that hunting plays in wildlife conservation remains a very important to our organization. Yet, the world we live in is changing. The anti-hunting movement, supported by a biased mainstream media, are working nonstop to negatively shape perception and policy as it relates to our time-honored hunting tradition. Now, more than ever, we must broaden our education efforts to include the general public, as well as policymakers and legislators, as to the undeniable truth that hunting plays in the conservation of the world's wildlife. To that end, our organization dedicates enormous resources to tell our story and the truth behind what we call conservation through hunting. The success of our efforts over the past several years has placed DSC in a globally recognized leadership role as a champion for the hunting imperative. A critical partner in our mission is the Congressional Sportsman's Foundation, one of the most respected and trusted sportsmen's organizations in the political arena. CSF's mission is to work in a bipartisan way with Congress, governors, and state legislators to protect and advance hunting, angling, recreational shooting, and trapping. We are honored this evening to have with us Jeff Crane, the President and CEO of Congressional Sportsman's Foundation. A lifelong outdoorsman, Jeff spent 5 years working in the U.S. Congress and was instrumental in establishing the Maryland Legislative Sportsman Caucus prior to joining CSF. In addition, he has experience developing wildlife habitat management plans here in the United States and in Southern Africa. During his 8 years in Africa, Jeff obtained his professional hunter's license and successfully guided hunts. Jeff holds a Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science and a Master's of Business Administration. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my friend, Jeff Crane.
Thank you, Corey, for the nice introduction. And like so many speakers have said, it is nice to be back looking out at people right in front of me instead of on a screen. I want to thank and recognize the Dallas Safari Club for your leadership all across the globe to protect our heritage of hunting. I am a proud life member of DSC, and I can tell you, working from where I sit, we couldn't get the things done without the Dallas Safari Club. So thank you very much for being great partners, great allies. The work that Dallas Safari Club does is not only important to me professionally, but it is personal. I am a lifelong hunter. I did have the privilege of being a professional hunter in Africa, and so going to work in the advocacy world of government, we need partners like Dallas Safari Club. I think the slide introduction kind of topped on what Congressional Sportsman's Foundation does and who we are. We work with Congress, we work with governors, and we work with state legislators. And would like to take just a minute to recognize we've got some members of the United States Congress here that are part of the Congressional Sportsman's Caucus. They're down here to my left. Gentlemen, could you please stand? Let's please give them a round of applause. These are our champions in Washington, D.C. So sort of really at the summary core of who we are is we're the nation's authority on policy issues as it relates to hunting, trapping, fishing, and target shooting. It's a pretty narrow window, but that's what we do. As we've heard here, there is no secret that we are facing unprecedented threats to hunting in these modern times. 20 years ago, there was no social media to worry about. Changing demographics. A society that wants instant gratification doesn't work quite so well when you have to sit in a deer stand for 3 hours in the cold, hoping something comes by. And of course, the antis are still a real threat. The good news is through these caucuses, like the Congressional Caucus, the state caucuses, and the Governor's Caucus, we're actually winning more battles and advancing the sportsman's agenda now than maybe we have in recent history. Collectively, our hunting community is organized and really effective. We punch above our weight class, folks, and that makes me proud. We are taking on the issues, tackling them, and winning. And we win because of these relationships with these gentlemen like in the Congressional Sportsman's Caucus. We bring them timely information, we bring them accurate information, unbiased information, and nonpartisan information. This is the key to this. This education factor gives us credibility and gives them something that we're not getting out in front of them on things that will leave them in an exposed position. Sounds like pretty good news. So what's missing? We have to realize that we are now less than 5% of the U.S. population. Less than 5%. That's a serious numbers problem, ladies and gentlemen. If you take the antis and consider maybe they're 5%, there's 90% out there sitting in the middle. They're not against hunting, they're not pro-hunting, they're just non-hunters. So we are winning today's battle in our legislative bodies and in politics, but we have 90%, arguably 90%, sitting in the middle here, and our future ultimately rests in the hands of these people, this voting non-hunting public that are getting bombarded by the negative light put on hunting by the antis. We're not effectively telling our story, we're not doing it on our terms, and if we're serious about educating the general public, we need to ramp up in a meaningful way what we're trying to get accomplished. With over 40 years of experience working in the policy arena, trust me, there's going to be no silver bullet on legislation. There's going to be no hotshot lobbyists that can save hunting if we let the public opinion reach a tipping point where they are negative on hunting. The time to act is now. The opportunity is here now, but we can't waste time. This is too important, too real, too now to do it. And it's my pleasure to talk to you a little bit briefly about what CSF, Dallas Safari Club, and some of our other partners out in the community are doing to try to get out in front on this. About 5 years ago, the NRA's Hunter Leadership Forum began conducting detailed research on public's attitude towards hunting. You may have seen this, How to Talk About Hunting. It's worth looking at if you haven't. A couple of really interesting insights. First, defending and promoting hunting is not a matter of changing America's values, but of reaffirming them. Second, public education is the best form of protection against emotionally driven efforts to undermine our heritage. And third, we need to focus on the messages that are proven to resonate with the public. We're great at talking to ourselves. We got to have those messages that resonate with that 90% non-hunting. So how do we do this in a more effective way? The good news is we've got a model that is working. It's called the Wildlife Council model. And a goal of the Wildlife Councils is to develop and oversee targeted media and education campaign using message-tested data to reinforce the importance of hunting, not again to our community, but to the non-hunting public. After Colorado lost spring bear hunting and trapping in the 1990s on ballot initiatives, group of sportsmen and women gathered around and got together with the Colorado legislators, and the first Wildlife Council was born. Funded by $1.50 from every hunting and fishing licenses in Colorado now, this fund goes exclusively to build this public awareness campaign that emphasizes the public value of hunting and fishing. I'd like to take a minute and show you on the screen just an example of what one of these is on there.
When someone buys a hunting license, they're paying for more than just a piece of paper. They're paying to protect our wildlife, to restore our forests, and to preserve our public lands. The money from hunting licenses pays to conserve Colorado. So even if you don't hunt, chances are you still love hunting.
Okay, it's a little hokey, but there's no, until the very end with the orange and barely a little bit of a gun in there, the message was not about hunting, it was about conservation and wildlife, and built in the idea that hunters are paying, anglers are paying for it. More importantly, the results are positive. 7 in 10 Colorado residents would not vote against hunting restrictions now. 7 in 10. That's a big move. 30% of the individuals feel like they're more positive about Sportsman. Another big move of the needle. But the threat's still real in Colorado. We're still looking at ballot issues in Colorado. The only thing is our position as a community has gotten stronger thanks to the sway in that unaligned non-hunting community. So how do we expand the model? In 2014, Michigan looked at Colorado and said, man, this is a pretty good idea. And so they created the Michigan Wildlife Council. And this council has come out of the blocks and already, for the first time, 50% of Michigan voters support trapping. And 8 out of 10 Michigan citizens say they support hunting. These are the kind of numbers that we need. Just this past year in Michigan, the anti-hunting groups tried to put legislation forward to undermine the Wildlife Council. This desperate attempt to try to do exactly what we have set up and paid for tells me one thing for sure. The Michigan Wildlife Council is taking flack because it's over the target. So utilizing the array of our Sportsman's caucuses at the state level, we're already expanding these efforts. North Carolina is interested in it. We've got other states that are interested in it, and there's a process underway. Together with the Dallas Safari Club, we're working towards a strategic plan to roll out wildlife councils to all 50 states. We all know that sportsmen and women are America's oldest conservationists. We've been leading this charge for over a century, from the days of Theodore Roosevelt. But the playing field has changed, and we have to adapt to that playing field in order to succeed in the 21st century. So So in closing, I'm going to ask three things for all of my fellow Americans here, and think about this and please do this. One is vote. Please vote. Your vote matters. We have seen this more and more. Your vote matters. Don't vote just every 4 years for the presidency. Don't just vote for our friends in the United States Congress. The men and women that we put in office, from the county levels all the way up through state government, all the way to the White House, all have the power to decide the future of hunting in one way or another. So please vote. Secondly, engage. And all of you being here tonight, I'm definitely preaching to the choir. Engage through Dallas Safari Club. Make sure you know what's going on. Help us with this idea of the wildlife councils. And lastly, support the effort. This is a big time play. We're only at the beginning. We got to ramp it up in a big way. Financially, it's going to take a commitment. Dallas Safari Club is stepping up in a big way. We've got Julie and her auction girls here tonight, some great stuff, so please support it. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be back at Dallas Safari Club. Enjoy your rest of your convention. God bless.